Welcome to Show Studio's Fashion Radio, the podcast video series exploring the remarkable relationship between fashion and music. Every week we'll be joined by fashion's biggest names and the talent of tomorrow as they share their 10 life-defining tunes and the stories behind them. I'm your host, DJ Fat Tony, and today's guest was recently named as one of Forbes 30 Under 30. She's a designer who's making corsetry cool again, while challenging our perceptions of femininity with subversive designs, celebrating curves and folds. Here is Michaela Stark. Hey, it's DJ Fat Tony and welcome to Fashion Radio on Show Studio. And today I'm joined by the incredible Michaela Stark. Right, I've got your fashion research pack here, which is like a CV in itself. And
I want to know what it says on there. Oh my
You're
God.
about to find out. You're really big into corsetry, I see here.
I'm big. I make my own corsets.
Oh, you do?
Like I made this one today, for
stunning.
example.
So do you know Mr. Pearl?
Of course.
Of course. Anyone who's into corsetry knows Pearl.
Yeah.
Here it says that you were born in Australia. You're an artist, a costume designer, and a couturier. I mean, what else do you do? Or should we say, what can't you do?
At the moment, I do feel like I'm a little bit ripped between disciplines because basically my main discipline is to create clothing like this corsetry. This isn't done as tight as it can. For editorial, I would yank it tighter. Right. So my stomach would balloon out, my breasts would fold over, and then I would start to bind. This is sort of like a daywear version of it.
But you know, the voluptuous woman, if you go back in history, has always been the beautifulest woman. They're the ones that everyone painted. No one painted a skinny woman. No one.
I think that curves are so stunning, and I also think
100%.
That for some reason when we look at humans, we always equate beauty to sexuality so intensely.
Yeah.
But when we look at nature or anything else, we're able to see the beauty in it that
100%.
isn't inherently linked to sexuality.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many ways to portray beauty, but there's also so many ways to portray raw emotion when it comes to the body and when it comes to like, I don't know, like sometimes my work looks like I'm inflicting pain on my body and whether I am or not, if it looks like that, people feel the emotion of that because they can imagine what it would feel like on their body as well.
Yeah, and we look at things and we shudder and we look, ooh.
Exactly.
Because we're uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
So if someone sees you the way you are dressed, and they're uncomfortable with that because they're uncomfortable with their own bodies. And so what we do is we deflect that onto that person.
Exactly. And that's why I try to make it as delicate and vulnerable and beautiful as possible because I want people to look at my work and they're like, oh, I wouldn't do that to me. Like, they feel like the reaction to it. But B, they're like, why do I find this beautiful?
And then they start to question it.
And that's when they start to question it. And that's how you change mindsets, by playing with these
That's exactly how you change it, when we make people question their own vulnerability. And, most of this stuff comes from a place of fear anyway when it comes to other people. Judgment. Judgment always comes from fear. So, the biggest homophobes are gay themselves, as we know, because it's deflection and it happens in every area of different people's lives. Let's start off with the track from your childhood, which is the most personal track that's influenced you the most.
I would have to say Lady Gaga, definitely. Now, I put down two there. I put down Paparazzi or Monster. I just remember when I was a kid and Lady Gaga.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay, so you are a kid. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I would have been like probably around 12 when Lady Gaga's first track came out.
Fucking get out of here. Just leave now. I'm not having this. Yeah, go on.
But I just remember, and I came from a town, Brisbane, Australia, and that isn't, like, I love Brisbane, but it's not like London in terms of how progressive it is in dress. And it just turned a generation of queer kids that were scared to come out. And we were all at that age where people were just starting to come out as gay. They were having, like, backlash from their parents. They were sort of in schools where they were getting bullied for it, but it made it okay. Yeah. And Lady Gaga turned this generation of queer kids at an age where being queer felt so scary into something where everyone was dressing up like monsters, really like monsters. Like, they weren't afraid to be ugly. It wasn't like, let's be queer, but let's be hot. It's like, let's go savage. Wait, savage?
Yeah, savage is a good word.
And I remember we would go to the concert and, like, we'd all dress up. And even if we were in the back row, we'd be making our own clothes to wear to it and doing all this crazy face paint. And then
it's really bizarre because, that every kind of second generation has that kind of idol. Mm-hmm. And, we had it in the 80s with Boy George.
Right.
And he made it okay for that cross-dressing, in which they called at the time gender bending. Mm-hmm. Everything has to have the title, especially in England, with the tabloids, they love to give something a title, and it opened those doors. And then Gaga, Madonna, then we had Madonna.
Yeah, Madonna was a big one, absolutely.
Just changed people's perception,
Madonna
when Madonna released
Bowie.
Sex Book, we had Bowie before Boy George and Punk, and we had all of these major players that come along. And Gaga's really stood the test of time because I meet so many people that are influenced by her in so many ways.
Literally.
My boyfriend's obsessed by her, totally obsessed by her, which is really cute. And, I love it. But he's the same age as you. He's like 29.
Oh, yeah.
So he comes from that era of like Gagaism as
it was
such.
a huge liberation at that time. And it was like.
So if you had to choose between Paparazzi and Monster, which one would it be really?
You see, I think Monster.
Yeah.
The only reason I put down Paparazzi was because of her iconic VMAs performance, where she had like the blood pouring down her and was like dying. And I just think that was so stunningly beautiful. Yeah. And that, in terms of we're talking about fashion and music, that was so emotive. But then the visuals and the outfits and everything was there. But Monster is like, it gives me what visually that gave me, Paparazzi, that performance. Monster, the song, gives me that.
Do you not think that because we no longer have tribes like Punk and all of these major game players, because now it's all led by brands, that pop music kind of doesn't have that impact that it would have had if there was a tribe? Like you said, when you were all monsters and you were all dressing up, that was a tribe.
Yeah, that was
right?
a tribe.
That's a tribe. And we don't have that. At the moment, we don't have that in pop music. We don't have Harryites.
What we have is, at the moment, is a backlash against the systems of pop that happened in the past. Like the whole Free Britney movement has come with so much backlash about what happened in the past. And I think it's showing how all these women, like Britney, for example, was like so liberated with her sexuality on stage and in videos and pushing forward that female empowerment message. And then she got eaten up by the paparazzi until she ended up in a conservatory.
But of course she was going to get eaten up by the paparazzi because it went against everything they
threw herself
God
in
forbid
to be slaughtered.
God forbid a woman
but how
is going to be that powerful. God forbid.
Did. And she was the one that was like sort of put up the stake for that. But think of the generation of women that followed that, and the same with Madonna, the same with Lady Gaga.
Look how the tabloids now treat Madonna, as if she's a laughing stock, or because she's done something about the fact that she didn't want to age, and that's entirely her choice. And to me, she looks stunning, and she looks incredible.
What's amazing is how the fashion community is still supporting Madonna.
100%.
So the fashion and music really ride together, because I think that fashion and music have the same. Demonized in the same way.
Yeah, but half that fashion industry wouldn't be where they are now if it wasn't for Madonna.
Oh, no, they wouldn't.
That goes without saying. And she needs to take that accolade. And it's the same with Gaga. She's always pushed young designers. She's always gone and got those designs from them and pushed them and always said where the clothes come from.
But also these queer musicians and these like women musicians all pushing an agenda through clothing and through music. Designers wouldn't be able to design half the clothes that they design today if it wasn't for these musicians.
100%.
Like, there'd be no way. Like, I wouldn't be able to walk around with my tits out if it wasn't for Madonna's iconic moment with the cone bra and then, like, I don't know, them all getting their tits out at one stage or another.
But the thing is, the fact that you just said that is the fact that that's what people need to. People need to remember where that stuff comes from and not be like, oh God, she's a has-been. No. She has been and she still is being.
That's what I was saying to my girlfriend last night. You can't, and she's only 23. Yeah. And she very much goes like, oh, they're irrelevant now. And it's like, but they're not irrelevant if everything that they did up until this point is still relevant.
It's like saying Beethoven's irrelevant.
Exactly.
Or it's like saying, like everything that's hanging in the National Portrait Gallery is irrelevant because they're old or they're dead. They're there because they're masters and they're masterpieces.
And they're still inspiring people 100%. Who are relevant today, which makes them relevant.
I love your choices. That first, Paparazzi and Monster both do it for me. Track from a film.
I put Lady Marmalade in Moulin Rouge. I think look, I'm wearing a little Moulin Rouge skirt today.
Yeah,
it's way down my alley.
You know, that's yet again another timeless moment. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Mind-blowing. And have you been to see Moulin Rouge? It's reopened. It's like reopened. And the songs have all changed in it, and it's not what should be.
I lived in Paris for 2 years, but I was so dead broke in those 2 years, I couldn't afford a bloody ticket to the Moulin Rouge.
The musical's reopened in London. It's in London?
Oh, yes. I saw it on the tube.
Yeah, it's open.
I have to go see it.
Visually, it's stunning.
I have to go see it. Okay,
some of the songs, they let it down slightly, and you don't really believe in citrine as much as you should.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, visually it's stunning, and it's like, you know, Lady Marmalade as a track, that's another one of those like God-given moments to a lot of young gay guys that are like, oh God, this is my soundtrack to life. Yeah.
It's genius.
I love that track.
Total female empowerment and camp and everything.
I love the fact that you're all about empowerment. Female empowerment.
I feel like that's what my work centers around. And because as I was saying before, I wear so many hats. Yeah. So often I feel like and even from my small scale of what I do, I have that empowerment taken away from me. And then I can see that in pop stars of how they have that on such a massive scale.
Yeah.
If I have it from my small little corner, even though it's my body, my ideas, everything in that, it's like at the end of the day, then someone else.
Do you see yourself as a bit of an activist? Do you see what you do, the way you dress, in the sense of like you owning who you are? Do you see that as okay, it's kind of a little bit of activism is in the sense of like, this is what women should be allowed to be like?
Definitely. I think I didn't at the start. Yeah. I think at the start I was just being myself.
Yeah, which is where most activism comes from.
Which is what most activism, and then it sort of, people started calling me a bit crazy, or like I started realizing the more it came out of my bedroom and onto the streets or onto the online sphere or into shoots, I started realizing how different it was to what other people were doing, but it didn't really hit me when it was just something I did by myself in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And then through that, then I felt that just little steps, like I've had to fight for my own rights when I'm like, this is my body, let me do what I want. And then through that, I have to fight for, you know, models' rights when they're working with me. Like, I know they wouldn't like this picture, but like, whatever, this is their body. They agreed to be in the shoot because they knew that they were going to be in control, and you can't just take that away from them.
No, of course.
And then through that, I think it's turned into a form of activism only because I feel myself getting policed. Like on the online sphere consistently. Like I just got banned off TikTok the other day. Like,
how the hell did you get banned off TikTok?
I don't even know. They hate me. They think anything I do is sexual.
But you know what the thing about it? Yeah, but you know, come on, if you use the word queer, it gets taken down on Instagram. You know, they still think it as a derogatory term. They don't understand that it's now been owned, and that's who we are.
And the amount of queer people I know that are getting taken down for hate speech for making queer jokes, like making fun of themselves.
It's insane. It really
crazy.
Is. As I always say, nothing good ever comes from being comfortable.
No.
Ever.
No.
Nothing. The minute you get comfortable with everything, you become complacent.
Yeah, it's true.
100%.
I always used to say that the worst insult you can call someone is boring.
Oh, 100%. But only boring people call people boring. Do you know what I mean? It's very true. Trust me. When oh God, this is boring. It's like, well, why is it boring? Because you're thinking about something else that you want to do and you want to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So go do that.
Go, bye. See you later. Get off your phone. Do you know what I mean? Stop looking at Instagram all night when you can be in the moment.
That's
people
true.
forget how to be in the moment. When it comes to fashion, when it comes to music, when you're out clubbing, put your phone in your pocket and enjoy the moment. Let the music take you where it needs to take you. If you're looking at where everyone else is, you're not going to be where you should be. And that's there in the moment. Something really magical about
being about just letting 100%. It go.
Okay, so let's move on to, what do you listen day to day? What is your now tune?
This year I've been listening to Vegas by Doja Cat a lot.
Okay.
Have you
Everyone
heard it?
loves Doja Cat at the moment.
I love Doja Cat. Do you listen to her?
Yeah, of course. She's incredible.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's so contemporary. She's so fun. She kind of takes the piss out of things, I think, which is fun, but still so good and so hitting it every time.
Out of everyone we've done so far on Fashion Radio, Doja Cat's popped up on everyone.
Because she's amazing?
Yeah,
she's
obviously
she's
amazing.
artist of the moment.
Yeah. That's great, right? And would you like to actually dress her, do you think?
I think so. I mean, I definitely would. I think it would be difficult because she's so toned at the moment, and it is harder from, like, it's nicer when I have a bit of squish to play with.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have been starting to dress artists like her lately, and I'm having fun with kind of the different direction.
Do you think that you can only do squish, or do you think that you can adapt anyone's body into making it look the way you think it?
No, I can do toned. I can adapt to
I love the word squish
different
as well,
people's
by the way.
bodies. I'm having a hard time letting go of. I like to dress people that are going to say, yes, I am with the vision and I'm going to go at 100%.
Right.
You want me to go with pussy out on the runway? I'm going to do it. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
And I would literally die if Doja Cat came to me and said that she wants to wear one of my designs in an authentic way. So I would love to.
Just keep doing what you're doing. It will happen.
Yeah.
Of course it will. Yeah, of course it will. And what do you listen to when you're working? Because there's working, creating, and in my studio, and I found them very similar. Yeah, they are very similar.
So I broke it up. I put working as in on a shoot.
Yeah, totally.
So I put Ego by Beyonce, because if I'm modeling, I want to feel like the queen.
It, right? Yeah, of course.
I want to feel like super confident.
It's one of those tracks that gives you that sassiness, that shush. It's like, okay, this is who I am.
I'm obsessed. And realistically, I listen to Beyonce all the time. I'm always a Queen Bee fan. Since I was in uni, I used to go in early so I could listen to her album really loud.
But how can you not be?
How can you not be?
Seriously.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went to see her, I think it was at the Olympic Stadium. She played at the Olympic Stadium. And she had those big red cubes, that turned round.
Oh, yeah.
And I was lucky enough to be in the mosh pit or at the front. And it was just like, and I was like, I'm not really into Beyonce. Oh my God.
Seeing her live is a whole different story.
I left there just like, where the hell have I been?
It's crazy.
Where the hell have I been? I couldn't even blame it on addiction. It was like literally like, where the hell have I been? I've missed Beyonce. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, she's
mind blowing.
She's every time someone says something bad about her, I get so defensive. I'm like, do you even know? Like, she is amazing. She 100%. Is a showgirl to the ultimate.
Especially with the new album as well. It's just like to bring house music into her culture, into the whole feeling. It's very, very forward thinking, because house music's been around for so long. But for someone like Beyonce to start sampling the classics and using that is a really amazing thing, because what it's doing is reopening those doors again. Because people go, I'm not into house music, but every track they listen to kind of stems from house music. Do you know what I mean?
House
it's that blinkered thing really again.
I feel like she's reinvented herself so many times, but in a way that feels authentic, in the way that when you grow as an artist, you do have to reinvent yourself to stay current to your current emotions.
Of course.
And I feel like she's also one of those artists that truly does fight for what she believes in. She started sort of as just like a diva. Yeah. And then it went into strong female empowerment. And then it went into Black empowerment. And now it's like her owning her rights in music, bringing back house. Yeah, 100%. Still within the Black empowerment sphere, but evolved from that even more. You know what I mean?
And I think what's genius about her is the fact that she's not afraid of working with like the DJs and producers of now. It's not her trying to be, okay, what do I need? There's an air of desperation here. I need to get who everyone thinks is hot right now. She's using those people because they're fucking good at what they do.
Because they're good, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's empowering. 100%. You get different artists that go, so-and-so's working on their album. You just think, well, we know why that is, because they want to, like, they're out of touch and they think that that's the person to work with. Yeah. But, on this album, she worked with Luke Solomon, produced 2 tracks, and Honey Dijon. And Honey and Luke together are masters at what they do. Yeah. And to create what they created on that album is pretty genius. In so many levels.
Definitely.
So many levels. I want to see what's coming next.
I want to see
Renaissance Part 1,
next.
2 and 3. Let's see what happens. It's a 3-part project, so let's see what comes.
Is it?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
So the kids tell me.
Oh my gosh.
So what do you listen to when you're creating?
I can get pretty worked up because a lot of the time I work alone or with 1 or 2 people assisting me. And I can get pretty worked up into my studio, and it's best to keep the era calm. And to stay focused, because otherwise I'm just like a madman walking around, pulling out fabric, pulling out things.
So there's two types of creating here. There's creating fashion, and there's also creating drama. Are they linked for you two?
They are inherently linked.
It's like me. I love it. I'm not creating drama.
If there's no drama, there's no fashion.
There's no nothing. It's never about drama.
So it's nice to keep myself calmed down. And so I put here like either two songs, which to me, I think you might not agree with me, but to me they feel similar. I put Grimes, Flesh Without Blood, but that could have really been any Grimes song.
Yeah.
I just liked that one because it's very, like a lot of her music, it's very like innocent, little girly vibes, but also quite dark as well, and like it's classic Grimes, quite techno, you know. And then there's Beethoven, which I also like to listen to. And to me, they feel the same. I don't know why, but I can link Grimes into that classical music world without her being that.
With music, there's people listen to music and then people feel this. I talk about this all the time. And when you feel something, there's a certain instrument or a certain vibe to something or a certain vibration that links everything together. So if you're listening to Beethoven and then you're listening to Grimes and like I said to you earlier, those two are two very different things. But yet you said, I don't think they are. I love that. I love that because, you know, there is no argument because music, that's the magic of music. Definitely. We link it to certain parts of our lives or certain feelings or certain emotions. Yeah. And when we do link music to emotion and feelings, we're feeling it.
Exactly. And it's so sentimental to each individual person.
And it's the same with fashion. Yeah. You know, when we like, you know, I can see something that I want and I can go home and I can obsess over it all night long, all day, and then I'll go and buy it. You know what I mean? And like, I'm like, I've got to have it. I've got to have it.
And there can be moments that you just wear it at home and 100%. You're like, I am amazing. And no one even has to see you.
Sometimes I never get worn out.
Never.
I just have to have it.
Have them in your wardrobe.
That's exactly
for the moment.
Exactly, yeah. Because it's my moment.
Exactly.
I love the next question, which is what song represents the sound of your studio? And your answer.
Katy Perry, California Girls.
What's going on with this whole Katy Perry thing at the moment? Everyone's
I'm obsessed.
Like,
Those like the whipped cream boobs and walking around in a cloud stuff, and like she takes you into another galaxy. It's so much fun.
Do you like the Just Eats advert with her on? Have you seen it? It's really annoying.
It's quite funny. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what brought her back into conversation.
I think so, you know, because it's on like 6 times a night if you're watching TV.
I'm sure it is.
Mosquitoed out. It's completely everything that you know.
But what's so fun about her is she doesn't take it fashion seriously at all.
Oh, of course not.
And it feels like she doesn't take music. I'm sure she does, but it feels like she doesn't take music seriously or fashion seriously. And she's just in this cloud of happiness, just doing her thing, doing whatever makes her feel happy.
100%.
And it really feels authentic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she is thinking about it more than it feels like, because everyone always does. But the feeling that you get watching it is that happiness, that feeling that it doesn't fucking matter. Like, why not put whipped cream on your boobs and dance around in the cloud?
And why not go dressed as a hamburger to the Met Gala?
Like, why the fuck not?
It's genius.
You have 1 million red carpets a year. Why not on the Met Gala go as a hamburger?
So good.
This fashion is silly. It's about escapism.
Oh, it's so
it's about showing, stepping into your identity and showing that's like a side of expressing yourself. But it's in a way of pure escapism.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
how can a ruffle express you? Well, it can, but it's in such a frivolous way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Katy Perry captures that really well.
So do I. Agree with you on that one. Okay, so the most important song you heard on a catwalk show?
I put here Galliano for Dior soundtrack.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say that broadly because I loved Galliano for Dior soundtracks, how he was able to mix in really hyper pop moments of the time, mixed with old classical music,
Jeremy
mixed
Healy.
with like, was that the person who was in charge of it?
So Jeremy did all the music for all Galliano shows.
True. Well, he did great.
And Jeremy's a house DJ, you know, and he's from the acid house scene, and he's been around a very long time. He was in a band in the early 80s called Hazy Fantasy, and he had dreadlocks, and him and Kate Garner, who's a photographer, they were very, very, very a part of that Blitzkrieg stroke, new romantic stroke,
right?
Like whole new image. You know, they come from that platform as well. And Jeremy has always worked with John always done the music for John and for all of John. And the music to those shows was just effortless. It was so
effortless
beautiful.
While somehow also mixing eras 100 years apart.
100%.
Like, and then somehow just throwing in something from the 50s. And it's like, it didn't make sense, but it somehow did make sense in the context of the fashion as well.
Because Jeremy understands John. And they're really good friends, so they understand each other.
That is so important.
It's not like going to someone and saying, hey, I want you to do this remix, or I want you to do this music for my show, and then not seeing the collection. And I'll just give you a mood board of like 6 dead pigeons and a sunset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's literally, they work together and they understand the collection and the origins of the collection. So that's why the music always complemented it and went hand in hand, and always does, because they're both masters.
That is so important, because then once the fashion meets the music and they intertwine so perfectly in that way, the message that gets sent across is so much more powerful than if it was just one of them.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the fact that you've chosen John.
But I put example is the haute couture of 2003, but that was just one example.
Which one was that? That was
the one that had a bit of Beyonce in it.
Did it have all the broken chandeliers and in the house with all the rose petals all the way through the actual show itself?
I don't think, no, it was the one where it seemed quite like Asian reference.
I know the one, yeah. Incredible. But John's time at Dior was just one of the most remarkable times. The next question, which was the best music video, but in the terms of fashion, you actually put Gautier.
Yes, because it's
I'm really good at these links.
It's the first time I ever saw something like that in my life, seeing like a fashion designer go into the world of music like that. And it was just so much fun.
It was genius.
So camp. It could have been a Madonna video clip, but it wasn't. It was Jean-Paul Gaultier. He could have been a musician in that moment, but he's not.
Amazing.
He's a designer.
Genius.
It was genius. And it was really that link between fashion and music. He took it like, Madonna's link between fashion and music was still more on the music scale, even though she did so much for fashion, whereas Gaultier did that, but for fashion. Yeah. And it was so much fun. And it was
kind of, he was doing it tongue in cheek as well, the whole, like, you know. And then he went on and he was doing, he had that other TV show as well called Eurotrash. Did you ever see that?
No.
So Eurotrash, he was the presenter. Him and this other guy, they were presenting it, and it was all about what went on in Europe. And it was always about like strip parties and like this party, that party. But it was really cleverly cut and edited. And it was always about Jean-Paul and him. It was amazing.
I feel like I've seen clips of that, to be fair.
Amazing. Yeah. And, that was just another little arm to Jean-Paul's creativity, in the sense that he was so adaptable and didn't care less what other people thought in that sense. Because he would go and do it. Do you get what I mean?
What makes him such an icon.
100%. 110%. I talked about him in my book, actually. Yeah. But there's a lot more I could talk about him. But, but he's fun, and that's it. You seem like a really fun person to me as well. And I think, that's what makes people shine, is the fact that they're in it to have fun, but they're also in it because they're good at what they do.
Yeah, it's about that discipline, having the discipline to develop your craft, develop your craft, mixed with the silliness to not take it so seriously that you get stuck. Yeah. So you need to be able to be good at it, and if you want to be on that level, be the best at it, but without getting so bogged down with what other people are thinking that you don't get stuck in the seriousness of it, and you can make the most beautifully constructed dress in the world, but with tits that come out here, and like pushing the envelope so hard, and casting people that have never been casted before, or giving light to communities that represent who you are as a person in such a silly way. But as long as it's beautifully constructed and the meaning behind it is well interpreted, then I feel like you're a star.
100%, I agree with you. Okay, song from a musician you wish to work with, living or dead.
I put Earth Eater, How to Fight. Do you know Earth Eater?
No, I don't.
Oh, she's amazing. She's a up and coming artist. Based in New York, I believe, and she's really fun. She's quite up, she's quite known. Yeah. And her music is stunningly beautiful, but she's not afraid to push her body beyond limits, and to sort of, she almost goes into my world where she'll bind her tits and push her body in a way where it looks almost painful, and play with her sexuality in that way, but her music is really, really stunning. And you can tell she's a great artist because it's not just that she produces her music and then she has stylists and creative directors and all of this sort of thing on top of her. Like, she does the creative direction of her own music videos and they're stunning. And she has stylists, but like she works, you can tell that she has her voice in what she wears. And I don't know. I really love her. I think she's great. I think she's fab.
Well, that's a good enough reason to want to work with her, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Okay. The track that represents one of my favourite questions. How you feel about life right now?
I said this is really difficult because A, I listen to really basic music, and B, I feel like I use music as such an escapism that I don't like to listen to music that represents my emotions too much.
Okay, let's reframe it. What is the track that you would go home now and put on? To make yourself feel better.
I put Lady Gaga Bad Kids. And the reason I put that, and I feel like some people are going to be listening to this saying, oh, she's so basic, but I don't care, whatever.
But it's not, who are they to judge that you're basic? That's not basic.
Yeah, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not.
It's far from basic.
I love it. I feel like the first time I listened to that song, because it's almost like a song that's saying, yeah, I'm crazy and I'm wild, but that doesn't make me inherently a bad person. And let's go crazy. Let's go wild. Yeah. You're still a good person if you do that. And I felt like, I don't know why, but the first time I listened to it, I really resonated to the lyrics in that song. It's like, let's go hard, but let's...
It just narrows down to other people's opinions. That's what makes other people's opinions on us. Oh, she's crazy. She's mad. That's someone else's opinion. It means nothing to us.
Yeah. And I feel like as an artist, you can be so overly, like we were just discussing before, or at least in my world, I personally get so overly emotional that people can link that to saying like, oh, she's a bit unhinged. And I'm like, I'm not unhinged. I'm just like, I'm an artist. Like I get emotional, and it's always at myself that I get emotional,
I get
not
it.
outwardly.
But you know what? That's a superpower. The fact that you're in touch with your emotions and feelings. It doesn't make you highly strung or any of those things.
It's actually the opposite. It lets you get it all out.
People like to use.
Yeah. It's like I will bawl my eyes out on the tube, and then I get to the meeting and I'm like, hi, how you going? But it lets you get it all out so that you're not highly strung. Yeah. And who cares who sees you on the tube? You don't know these people.
Fuck off. Take your opinion with you and fuck off. Seriously, honestly, because they can't relate to it because they're scared to relate to it. Therefore, they shun you, and they'll deflect onto you because they can't.
Or if they're scared to let their emotions out in that way. Yeah.
They can't, listen, there's nothing better than a good cry. There really isn't for clearing the air. There's nothing better than a good scream. And there's fucking nothing better than a good argument. There really isn't. And
it's true.
It's so true. And then when you leave that's where it ends. An argument doesn't go on for a month. An argument goes on for a moment. Yeah. And that moment's over, then you move on, and that's the beauty of it. Yeah. It's the ones that drag it on for life or for that moment lasts a year. Sort yourself out. Come on, I can have an argument.
True, but you're like holding back from letting in. But you have to understand that most emotions are irrational.
Of course.
So if you just let them all out in that moment, then you kind of step back and you're like, well, that was a bit irrational of me.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I think, why did you just do that? But the beauty is the fact that you actually notice that.
Yeah.
If we did that constantly, then we probably would end up locked up somewhere.
In a room much like this.
Very much like this. Yeah, we'd end up in show studio in the basement. But, it's true. It's because... the beauty and the magic comes from noticing those things about ourselves and thinking, okay, well, that's it. I've learned something today. I shouldn't, because I'm a great reactor. I'm not so much good at acting. Actions are good. They come after reaction. So I will react to everything. Oh, my God, where's my phone? Oh, there it is. Do you know what I mean? Instead of thinking, okay, retrace your tracks. Oh, that's where I put
and
my
then
phone.
you're like, oh, okay.
Someone stole my phone.
There's a famous story of when I was about 4 years old that my mum gave me a piece of candy, and because I was very like this as a child, I was insane. Like that's a family joke. How insane I was. My mum gave me a piece of candy, and I dropped it in the folds of my skirt. And I was sitting in the car with all my brothers and my mum for 4 hours screaming. They couldn't do anything, and I apparently had jumped out of the car. The candy fell out of the folds of my dress, and I picked it up going, oh, there it is. And I skipped up, and then my mum was like to my brother, do not hit her.
Well, thank you so much. Seriously, thank you. Like,
Thank
your
you.
playlist is great. It's been so good to getting to know you.
Yeah, me too.
Seriously, you keep doing what you're doing. As I say at the end of every one of these, long may you reign.
Oh, thank you. And you as well.
Thanks, sweetheart.